Hi, everybody, and welcome back to season 3 of Hot Combs and Popcorn's podcast movie series, The Box Office. For those who don't know, my name is Bobby,
My name is Danielle.
And my name's Brianna.
and one of the things we like to do here on this series is review movies in Black culture that we should have seen by now, but we just haven't. And at the end, after we discuss our thoughts and feelings as Zillennials, we will be rating these movies on a scale from 1 to 5 hot combs. Today, we are reviewing The Color Purple, the 1985 one, written by Menno Megis, based on the novel The Color Purple by Alice Walker, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Danny Glover, Adolph Caesar, Margaret Avery, Ray Don Chong, Oprah Winfrey, and Whoopi Goldberg. The Color Purple had a release date of December 18th, 1985, and is rated PG-13. It also has a runtime of 2 hours and 34 minutes. And a quick synopsis for those who don't know. The Color Purple is an epic tale spanning 40 years in the life of Celie, an African-American woman living in the South, I think Georgia to be exact, who survives incredible abuse and bigotry. After Celie's abusive father marries her off to the equally debilitating Mr., aka Albert Johnson, things go from bad to worse, leaving Celie to find companionship anywhere she can. She perseveres, holding on to her dream of one day being reunited with her sister in Africa, based on the novel by Alice Walker. So, we know what we're here to do. So, ladies, what are our thoughts on The Color Purple? General, first thoughts, and then we can get into it more so.
Well, I'm just more surprised that it's only rated PG-13.
Yeah.
That seems a little off in my opinion. I started watching this last night. This is my first time watching the original. I watched it last night and I had to stop within the first 30 minutes because there was so much going on within just the first 30 minutes that I was like, let me take a break. I was not ready for trauma tonight. I had to restart this morning and go into that because it is a lot. And I think it's it's heavier than I thought because I watched the new one, which was, a musical, and it's easy to do things to talk about heavier topics when you have a song to back things up. And in this one, it's just you just got the story. And that was heavy. So it was a lot. It was a lot to break down. So yeah, that was my initial thoughts.
Um, I do have to say, this is my first time hearing of this PG-13 rating. No, strong no. Okay, we discussed things, and there was a lot of drama around the original Color Purple. I can understand Spike Lee's apprehension of this being made in the 1985s, because this is not only, it's as close to a slave movie as you can get without having slave owners. And it was directed by Steven Spielberg, which, love him, great guy. Little uncomfortable aspect of this is that it was directed by a non-African American person, but that is what this usual genre is. I don't regret or feel like I should have been showed this movie as a child. This is the one movie that people gawk at when they find out you have not watched it. And it's never, what? You didn't watch that? I watched that when I was 18. I watched that when I was 22. It's always, I watched that when I was 5. I watched that when I was 7. And I just feel like this is not a movie that a child should watch. And yeah, as for the story, great time. But this is like this is like that moment where I'm like, why do you have your children watching this? Like, this is not a child-friendly movie at all. It's heavy topics. I think let's just get into it. We'll just get into it because I don't want to give too much of my um opinion right now. You know, we got the highs and the lows to go through, but it was a ride.
Yes, indeed. I agree with both of you. This was also my first time hearing of this PG-13. Actually, about 5 minutes ago, doing the script, I said PG-13. That's I just don't agree. I strongly disagree. Also, exactly what you said, Brie. As soon as the movie was ending, I'm like, this is something that people say they watch when they were like 7. I at their grandmother's house for fun, just because it was just on. Like, girl, no, please. Me personally, I have seen this movie before, but I didn't remember not a thing of it. I watched it for the first time when I was like 17, 18, maybe, and then forgot all about it. I just watched it just to say I've seen it. But then I read the book, spring of 2023. And for context of listeners, we're recording this, oh, spring of 2024 now. So I guess it's been like a year. Um, and so that was a lot. That was heavy. And then I saw the new movie. So like, I was familiar with the story already and I knew that it would be a lot. But watching this movie again, I was like, honestly, because it was directed by a white man, it's Steven Spielberg, I feel like with what he did, I thought he did a pretty decent job, honestly, truly. It felt like he at least did his research, you know. But we can get more into that. So highlights, like that feels weird to say. And something is so heavy, but like what were y'all's highlights or lowlights?
Okay.
Let's just start with highlights. Actually, yeah, let's just do that.
Okay, go ahead, Brie.
I do have highlights.
Yes.
Okay. Couple of my highlights. Whoopi Goldberg, star. Star. Okay.
Ain't that?
Not only was she a star in acting, star in physicality. Okay, she was Celie. All of that. Love it. Yeah, I can't speak enough about her performance. Oprah, I asked my mom, I said, what Oprah was this? Was this pre-Oprah show or after Oprah show? And she said it was during Oprah show. So I'm very surprised
Wow.
that this was something. I was just very surprised at her acting ability for such a role. I think that because she was a talk show host and she had a different type of persona on screen, this was like a different role to see her in. So that was pretty crazy. Also love the sets. Sets were great. Beautiful sets, beautiful gowns. And then another one of my like final, okay, I don't know if this is a highlight. Didn't read the book. I thought it was very ironic that Oprah was not Harpo. Had no idea Harpo was a man. Never know. Okay. I always assumed that it was Oprah related because I think she has her Harpo Studios or something like that, and it's her name backwards. So I never put into play that this was actually a not Oprah. I always thought Oprah was Harpo, but guess what? She's not. So that was a fun thing to learn. And finally, I very much, for this to be 1985, I very much respect them sliding in the LGBT community the way they did, because usually I was very surprised to see that. I have not seen the new one. I have heard that it's not in the new one. That nuance of the relationship between Suge and Celie is not there anymore. But I was like, huh, that's a very bold thing to put in there. Don't give your opinions on that because
I'm not.
you got to wait.
Uh-huh.
But I just thought that was a very bold thing because usually, even if that was in the original book, that seems like something they would have taken out in the movie. I feel like during that time you only saw it in a sexualized manner when it really wasn't that. I don't even know if Celie knew what was happening, but she just enjoyed the fact that she was being carried by somebody in such an intimate way. And I thought that was very delicately done. I have to agree. I have to agree with what you said, Bobby, about Steven Spielberg. I don't dislike that he did it. But you know how like when somebody do something too well, you just like
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it was freaking good.
I had to look to see how he was involved with this, and it was unsurprising that Quincy Jones brought him on. Very much behavior. So I was like, okay, that makes sense because there's no way he decided that he wanted to go do this. There's no way he pitched himself to direct The Color Purple. He definitely was brought on. So, I mean, for what he did for all the other movies that you know Steven Spielberg for, this is a pretty big jump, and I think he handled it well. Maybe too well. I don't know. I haven't read the book, so I just kind of went into this with no context because again, I was watching SpongeBob at 7, was
Mhm.
not watching The Color Purple. And I'm gonna stop it there because then we're still gonna start going into low lights. But I'm gonna stop mine there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with a lot of things you said. I also one of my highlights was that there was some moments of like comedic relief. Not a lot, but there was, a few.
I
Um,
did laugh.
there was the one moment in the juke joint and Suge was singing and this man says, "Girl, I drink your bath water." And I was like, "Sir, relax. Relax. Like,
Relax.
please."
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of instances of that, but just like small things that, brought it back to the humanity of it, not so much the trauma of it. Um, I also really enjoyed the costume design, like you were saying. I liked how they progressed. Because obviously it was showing, like you said, the 40 years of Celie's life. They showed like not even just with the costumes, like if you notice, they were the mailman was bringing the mail in the horse and buggy, and then they had the guy come in the car, and then they show like the different mail stampings, how they changed over the years. Like it was just like little things like that that like gave historical background to it, which I enjoyed. I also really loved the credits, the opening credits, because it started off just the names, and then you heard like the what was it? The little patty cake game that they would play, and then like you saw like the purple come in. It was honestly really well done, and it wasn't too much. It wasn't, because what are you gonna do? This is not. It did not need to be like how Spike Lee has his openings and they're like, really big. Like it didn't need to be all that. Like it needed to be something very simplified. And I think that they did that well. Um, what other highlights did I have? Um, I think this movie really showed how words affect people really well. Because if you notice, like Suge was asking Celie, like, why do you always like hide your smile? Like, why are you always like doing that? And the one time her dad was like, you got a really ugly smile. And that like held on to her for the rest of her life. And I think that that's something real. Like people really do hold on to words and hold on, like words have weight. And I think that was one of the main themes of this movie was how much that can affect people. Um, and I think it wasn't until like Suge and oh my God, I forgot her name. Suge, what's Oprah's character's name?
Sophia.
Sophia. How they really like poured into her was the thing that kind of broke that cycle for her. Um, I don't know. I thought that was really beautiful. Yeah, I think those are most of my highlights. I'm probably
Yeah.
forgetting some.
No, those were solid. I personally have a lot of highlights. This story means so much to me. Like when um reading it kind of changed my life, honestly, truly. And I cried so many times. I want to cry now. Like it's only been like 15 minutes. It's too early, but like I may, honestly, later on while talking about certain things because it's just like it's just so moving and thinking about like the fact this happened in 1906 in Georgia. Um we're all descendants of people that were enslaved here. And we're descendant of people that lived in the South most likely around this time period. So thinking about the fact that like stuff like this could have happened in my own family and maybe it did. It takes me somewhere else. It really does. And the way Alice Walker, this lady just gets it. So one of my biggest highlights of this movie is like how true it was to the book. It was almost exact. One of the main things, you mentioned Brie, Suge and Celie, they actually did tone it down like a lot. In the book, there's like sexual things that happen, Celie has her first orgasm and stuff like that. And I was just like, it would just, it kind of, it took me somewhere else. And it feels so human. Certain things like what you mentioned, Danielle, like words really do affect somebody for the rest of their life. Like you could be 7, someone tells you something one time, next thing you know, you're 50, still thinking about these things. It just really moved me. And the fact that Quincy Jones I didn't know that Quincy Jones brought Steven Spielberg on, that makes me chuckle just a little bit, because of course he didn't volunteer for this. But with what he did, it seemed very well researched, and it seemed like he had a team of people around him to make sure that he kept it honest and true, at least to the story, the original text. Also, as far as like the acting and like the filmmaking of it all, Whoopi Goldberg got an Oscar nomination for this movie, but I feel like she should have won. She got her EGOT now, whatever, sure. But where was the win? Because this lady, I was in awe, honestly. I'm like Googling while I'm watching. I'm like, okay, so she was 30 while she was doing this, which is insane. She had already been married once, already had a baby. And maybe that was like, she was able to like tap into some of like her previous experiences for this role. But like, she put her entire foot, the whole leg, the whole lower body into this role. It was insane. Oprah? Why did Oprah not get an Oscar for this?
Let's talk about it.
Why did
This lady had me on the floor crying.
so bad?
Okay.
Why did she eat so bad?
She ate.
Like,
She said, "Get my children out here," and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was
Girl,
like,
and I relate to Oprah's character, Sophia. I relate to Sophia a lot because as someone who also doesn't know how to be anything but themselves and can often get in trouble for it, she stood by that, like she was about that life. And I feel like for it, especially for it to be like 1906, that's a really big thing. Okay, when she punched that white man, I said, oh my gosh, she is trying to die. Okay, if she punched that man in public, I said, oh my God. But honestly, I mean, I can't do anything but respect it. I mean, when she could have beat Celie ass when Celie told Mr. Son Harpo to beat her.
maybe she
Could have
should have.
beat her ass. And honestly, would have been completely justified. Okay. And she came to her woman to woman and said, don't you ever tell my husband or anybody else to come beat a woman. You don't know what I've been through. You don't get to say that. And I think, honestly, we need more of that today. Like, we need more of women checking women in this way, because we've seen a lot of dirty stuff. Okay, everybody laughs about Ayanla. Ayanla Feeds My Life is a great show. Okay, 10 out of 10 show. Entertainment.
yeah.
But the stuff she be saying is serious. Like, you can't be like, just because it's what happened to you. I think Celie, for a second, especially growing up in it, was a great representation. I have my conversation with my friend about this all the time, my male friend, of how masculine traits fall over into women. And that's one of them. How many times, example, not saying this was Celie, how many times have you heard of Black women saying, oh, she deserved it because she was fast, and it has to do with R. Kelly, or it has to do something like that? Those are traditionally masculine thoughts, energy, all of that. That's all from this society. And so I love that Sophia checked her about that before she really started to raise other people's kids and children with that mindset of saying, oh, well, if she just talks too much, beat her. You are a woman as well. You're just battered. You're just bruised. You don't know any better. But now you have this other woman, that fellowship, telling you, hey, I could beat your ass right now. I'm not going to. I will say the meme, quite underwhelming. I thought this happened in a different part of the movie, and I didn't know that it was just this. Okay. But it was still like people saying all my life I had to fight. I thought it was a more
Mhm.
the saying of it sounds a little bit different when people, now that you realize people made it a meme. It's just like,
Yeah.
I get why it's a meme, but should it be a meme? You know, like
No.
context. Should we be joking about that? Because she was really speaking real shit. She was like, look, I've been beat by all these people. Don't you dare tell me or tell my husband or anybody else's husband to beat them into submission. You don't know what I've been through, and I will beat your ass if I need to. And really, got silly all the way together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the way together. Okay. Like, I was like, see, we need more of that. We need more of that. That's why we're losing recipes, because ain't nobody correcting this badass behavior that's happening. That's why
They
the
gone.
dating pool is full of pee,
Okay.
because you also have men who act like this, and you also have women who act like this. And so both sides are just okay. That's why we're losing recipes. We ain't coming together to make them, because look how each side is acting, you know? So I was like, Oprah ate down. Ate down. Was surprised. I don't think, outside of seeing her in Greenleaf, I've never seen Oprah act. So this was surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know she was in Greenleaf. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
in
me and my
Brooklyn.
mom
I
watched
need to.
Greenleaf.
That's a TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a TV
Okay.
show on the OWN network, I think.
Oh,
Specifically, it's a Tyler
wonderful.
Perry TV show.
I
And
mean,
then I also wanted to mention, even though I noticed this, there's a lot of things happening in this movie. And I do think you could rewatch it to see other stuff that you missed, but I'm not going to, because I don't have to do that to myself. So I'm glad that you and Bobby pointed out the whole words thing, because yeah, she really did, you know, it was very personal to me watching everyone call her dark skin, black, you ugly, da 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 da. Because, not only have I experienced that myself, I've experienced through, well, let me say this correctly. I have family members who have gone through that themselves, and I have watched their trauma, from people in their own family saying that to them, to people on the street saying that to them. It was just very like, I was like, oh, I wish they would stop calling her ugly. But then you have to remember that this was in the 1906, and a lot of things that Black people did back then were the reflection of white people.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep that context in mind, no matter how irritating it is. But like, even the smile thing, I was like, wow, there was a period in my life where I didn't smile with my teeth because of, the having darker gums and stuff like that. And you just kind of adapt. You just kind of adapt. There was definitely a time where I stopped laughing out loud because people made fun of how I laugh, et cetera, et cetera. And just because I grew up on the south side of Chicago, majority of that came from other Black people. And I think it's really important as Black people to realize what we're saying to each other, because that holds way more weight to me than, well, it don't hold weight to me now, but as a child, it holds way more weight to have people who look like you tell you that you're ugly, tell you that you have an ugly smile, tell you that you look like this, or even the opposite, tell you that you act like an Oreo, tell you that you're too white for Black people. Like, I don't think Black people in our community realize how much weight we hold on each other's actions, whether we want to admit that we're the reason or not. You can be so mad. You could be like, I ain't make that girl do that. Okay, but if you grew up telling her she was fast, ugly, all her life, what else is she supposed to think about herself? This is why therapy is important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, luckily she had Suge kind of coax that out of her and stuff like that, and Sophia, but like, the fact that she even got over those hurdles, and it was just inspiring. That scene where she was smiling and you just said all her teeth and all her gums, and it was just so unapologetic, and Suge was holding her hands down, like, stop putting your hands over your, it really is, just as a Black woman, it really is something that hits, and it's not just hitting because we are in 1906. No, it hits generationally, because it's still happening, Black people. It's still happening, and it's still something that you can relate at any age. I have a greater appreciation watching this movie as an adult, because I think if I was a child, I would ignore everything. I would be like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. This is weird. I'm not gonna watch it. I think making someone, which no one should be made to watch The Color Purple, you should watch it on your own fruition so that you can actually take it in But if you're gonna watch The Color Purple, you've never watched it, watch it as an adult, because it's not going to make sense watching it as a 7-year-old.
Absolutely. And you know what, Brie, you touched on so many points. Like I had to take notes because, we're gonna like you really just did your big one for real because you're so right. And me personally, for the listeners, y'all don't know this, but like, I one of the actually, let me not say this is like a positive, but like I did grow up in a predominantly white school, in a predominantly white neighborhood. So like I was pretty much like the only Black girl in all of my classes. I didn't have any Black teachers for real, and except I had like one in 10th grade, And so like people, they would call me an Oreo a lot just because of the way I talked, the things that I was interested in, like how I dressed, all this stuff. But like I was like, oh, okay. It made me feel some kind of way. But like when I went to church, because I went to a Black church, and the Black kids around me, they would say the same thing, like, oh, you're an Oreo. It hit way like so much different because it's like, oh, so you're like me and you're rejecting me in a certain sense. And it just, so growing up, like I definitely suppressed a lot of my interests. I tried to speak different in certain circles. It never worked. It was very obvious that I was like faking it. And I only recently got over that in like the past like 5 years, something like that. I'm like 26 now. So it's like, damn, like these things that happen when you're like 5, literally they come with you. And if it wasn't for therapy, if it wasn't like for social media, talking with other women, sisterhood, I don't even know if I would be where I'm at today by like my young age. Celie didn't have none of that. This movie ended when she was like 42 or something like that. And it's like spending like 30 plus years in shackles, basically in your own mind, you see the effect that it has on a woman. And the thing is like, the thing that really upsets me is that none of this is exaggerated to me. Like her behavior, the way that she operated in the world, like, and the fact that it's relatable today is the most upsetting part. It really is. And the sisterhood of this movie, it makes me so emotional every single time. When Celie first smiles to Suge, I sobbed. Like I just broke down. Me, my grandmother, and my cousin, we all watched it together. Cause sisterhood, community. We watched it together and we were just all like, it's just so beautiful. And they watched it in theaters when it came out. Obviously I didn't, but they're like, oh yeah, there's that iconic scene. They're like quoting lines back and forth and like laughing with each other. And it was beautiful, honestly. I was gonna say something else, but oh, yes, the Black ugly thing. Yeah, that that's a lot. Very upsetting for obvious reasons. But one of my favorite lines, I don't even know like if I should say it's like my favorite because it's like it's very upsetting. But towards the end, when Mr. When Celie finally she speaks up for herself and Mr.'s like, okay, well, you're Black, you're poor, you're ugly, you're a woman, you're nothing at all. I was like, fuck you in the most disrespectful sense. But then when Celie leaves and she's like, I'm poor, I'm Black, I may even be ugly, but dear God, I'm here. I'm
I think
I cried.
it says so much to me. This I'm gonna slide into my I'm gonna slowly slide into my lowlights.
Yeah, let's just take it there.
But it's not really a low light. I think it's an irritation of how much this reflects the world today. The things okay, we're gonna have a real conversation, right? Because this is The Color Purple, this is about sisterhood.
Mhm.
There is a saying that says there's only two groups that can oppress and be pressed, and it's Black men and white women. It just is what it is. I understand completely the effect that all Black people had from slavery, how being treated. There's a lot of anger. A lot of people were just angry in this entire movie, just angry. But it says something for him as a Black man to say those words, and at least two of those aspects apply to him himself.
Mm-hmm.
He is no millionaire and he is no white man. But the fact that he is not a woman and I guess does not perceive himself as ugly. The fact that he feels like that gives him an upper hand on her and her worth and how much he's worth in society versus she is so irritating because I feel as if I hear this rhetoric today in different words.
Mhm.
Non-controversial opinion, Mr. should have been killed a long time ago. That's just me. Ain't no way you're gonna talk to me like that. And again, I understand this is different. This is 2023, this was in 1906. I understand. How and whomever, you ain't finna have me shaving you and you finna talk to me crazy, nigga. I will cut you up. You're going to be dead.
Yeah.
Finito. Okay, like there's just no way. The fact that he survived, I mean, look, I get bigger person, we love the storyline. No, I'm not. He would be dead. Outside of that, it's just so it's triggering because I think growing up in a Black community, a lot of that hatred towards me and the things that are said to me and the demeaning has come from Black men. And that's purely from growing up in a place where, you know, it's not, Chicago's very segregated. So all the good and the bad is going to happen by people that look like you. But because of the history the Black men and Black women have with slavery, white people, et cetera, it truly is just abominable to hear a Black man say, you ugly, you poor, you a woman, you Black, like self-hatred on the highest level, but self-hatred on the level of, I hate myself, so I'm going to make you feel lower than me.
Mhm.
You couldn't get your, which I'm assuming Suge is considered light skinned in this world. In this context of 1906, I'm going to assume that based on that and just the casting of The Color Purple, the musical and the movie. I've not seen Suge be a lighter skinned woman. So the fact that he couldn't have his quote unquote lighter skinned woman and she ended up with a light skinned man, you are now destroying completely a Black woman's life and character because you feel bad about yourself. That is why they say those are the two groups that can oppress and be oppressed, because you can be oppressed, but the fact that you think because you're a man and you are not judged by the same beauty standards automatically puts you over a Black woman would die. You would have to die. May even die in front of your family. I don't know. You know, she could have killed him at the dinner table. She was going to multiple times.
Yeah.
You might
And
have-
Suge, controversial opinion, should have not kept stopping her. That's just me. I mean, I think the only reasonable thing that was said was Sophia telling her not to do it, because I feel like it does mean something different when you have someone who looks like you in all aspects, hair color, hair texture, skin, you know. Unfortunately, obviously, I'm sure the book is a little bit more descriptive of Sophia, but Sophia is supposed to be the bigger Black woman type thing. But I think her telling her not to do it, she was like, look, don't do it. You don't go to jail. It's not worth, you know, being away from your family. Don't. I feel like that meant more than Suge pulling her away, because clearly this was also a little funny bit. When Suge came with her new husband and Celia was like, actually, we sick. And then she tapped Mister and he started coughing. I was like, ah. I was like, aha. So you do relate to her in a way. You just want to be a bitch is really what you want to be. So sorry. Hate to call a spade, but like you just want to bring her down when it's convenient for you. Interesting. So yeah, that line, I get what you mean, Bobby. Like it's not a favorite line, but it's a line that's like it should not still be relevant, and it should not still be relevant coming out of the mouth that it did. But it is. But it is, but it is, but it is. And that's where I'm going to stop before we get into the rest of our stuff. I'm just going to stop there.
There's just
So
so
that we
much
can get
to
into the
talk
rest of the lowlights.
It's really
yeah.
interesting to me though, because if you notice, Mister's father was like lighter skin, right? And he said
Noticed
about
that.
Suge, he was like, why do you even want her? She's black as tar. And I was like, okay, so this is generational, obviously, but like even still today, like things are very generational when it comes to that. Whenever his father was around, he completely shut down. Like that man was not, he wouldn't look him in the eye, like he didn't want to talk to him, nothing like that. And I don't know if it's you know how they say like hurt people hurt people? I don't want to give Mr. the benefit of the doubt because he is who he is. But you would think if your
Absolutely.
father is talking down about Black women that way, who's probably talking down about you that way because you are darker than him. So you think in your mind, okay, I'm going to talk down to the people the same way my father did, and I'm going to find me a light-skinned girl. Like, that's not. Mhm.
And on top of that, for him to be darker than his father, his mother has to be dark.
Exactly.
So
Like,
you also was born to a dark Black woman. And I think this is okay. I don't know if I do feel like I have legit lowlights, but I'm not sure how low light they are towards the movie itself or towards society.
Mhm.
But this is so relevant because when we talk, and I'm not going to get deep into this. And if you want to go deep into this in the comments, that's great. I cannot confirm that I will or will not look at it. This is, I don't think there's any coincidence that all of the racial or biracial couples that you see when it comes to women are usually darker Black women in somewhat of a different ways. I don't think that's a coincidence because it always brings me back to the conversations that happened when Serena Williams got married to Alexis, who is the guy who was the founder of Reddit. All these Black men were like, "Oh my God, how can she date outside her race?" Da 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 da.
Mhm.
Did we forget that Black men was calling her a man, called her ugly, called her dark skin, called her darky? Can we like
Because we
let's
didn't
stop
forget.
forgetting what it has
Ever.
done, because I try to tell people this all the time. I do not believe that, and I'm not going to get to the other side because it's a different conversation. I do not believe that Black women date outside our race because we have a self-hatred. There's a difference. We go to the people who actually show us love and companionship. And there's plenty of Black couples. There's a whole social media page about Black love. We love it. All I'm saying is there's no coincidence that there's always, usually if a darker skinned woman dates outside her race, especially if it's with someone who's non-color, it usually is of a white person. And it's just because, I mean, what do you do when the Black man in your life and the Black man that supports you and supposed to support you, whom undoubtedly know that they have the most power over you because they know that you're in your life, you know? What do you do when those people tell you ugly, tell you too Black, tell you that your skin features are too Black, telling you that you act like this and you look like a hoochie and da da da, or you look like a man, don't get too buff because then you're gonna, what do you expect? I mean, let's just be real with psychology. If it keeps coming from the same person and you finally get it, or the same type of person, you finally get it from someone who just happens to look different, it's not because they look different, it's because they treat you different. They have a different relationship with you as a Black woman with your race. I mean, okay, I think it's really funny that the father told him that she looks like tar when you literally eating with a bib. You can't ever clock me. You never gonna be able to clock me eating with a bib. Okay, that's just number one. You're old as hell. If I push you down, your leg gonna break. You can't ever talk big shit, and you don't talk big shit, and you can't defend yourself physically. That's number one. But number two, you talking about him being dark as tar, her dark as tar again. You're a light-skinned man and you have a dark-skinned son. How do you think that happened?
Right. And then he wants to who was it? Mr. was all upset when Sophia came around, talking about whose babies is da, da, da. He didn't like her from the jump, right? And then Harpo, you know, same thing. He's just like his dad. He wants to impress his dad. So him and Sophia break up, and who does he go to? Squeak, or whatever her name is, Mary, whatever, light-skinned woman. Like it just
A light-skinned woman.
continues. It continues. It doesn't stop. Like, but
Docile.
you wondering
Light-skinned.
why we leave him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make it make sense. Because I was so happy,
It never
honestly,
does.
when Sophia got up and she was like, enough. And she took her babies and she left. I was like, exactly. Because you gonna go where you're appreciated. You don't have to stick around for someone to continuously not correct your father and be like, stop talking about my wife, or like drop it. He's like, no, whatever, it's whatever. She's like, no, I'm gonna go. Like, absolutely.
And honestly, just like a quick, very much irritated me that when she came home for Christmas old girl was pregnant. And
Wait, who, Squeak?
yes, so when they came home for Christmas, her and Harpo, held hands, whatever, walking up the stairs. And then you find out that not only did he go back to her, but that she is now pregnant. It really rubbed me the wrong way that when she came in, she started doing that, like, oh, it's okay, touched her back, all that. It really rubbed me the wrong way because why are you touching me?
Exactly.
Why are you, as my mistress, as my husband's mistress, who slapped me, okay, in my husband's presence,
And
you pregnant? Why are you here? You shouldn't even be here. Like,
Can we talk about it? Because I felt like Squeak was a very unnecessary character. That was just my
let's talk
yeah,
about the low light.
Loki, she didn't really do much.
like
She
you come
applied
in.
nothing.
Why are you smacking her? Like, please be so for real. Like, if you want to be jealous, be jealous. But first of all, he's still married to this woman. So if anything, she should have been smacking you. But she didn't. So you're gonna smack her and be like, oh my God, why is she here? And then you get punched and you fall into the swamp. That's what you get. Like, and then it was so I could not stand that character because then when they're having that whole thing and Celie is going to Memphis, Squeak goes, "My name is Mary Agnes, and I'm going to Memphis with her." And I was like, "Did they invite you? You were not a part of this." Like,
Honestly, I agree. It very much irritated me that she was with them because
yeah,
you did nothing. You provided nothing. You did nothing but perpetuate the stereotype. You was okay, shout out to all the mistresses out there. Y'all live your life. But you ain't even know how to play the game as being a mistress. You didn't even stay in the sidelines. You thought because you was light skinned and skinny that you was gonna be able to come up on this woman and slap the shit out of her, and she punched the shit out of you. Like, I'm just saying, I feel like you got to ride okay, that's gonna start a whole nother conversation I'm not gonna get into, but you got to ride the coattails of their hard work
mhm.
and got to go to Memphis and leave when really you could have punched Harpo in his face and left and he wouldn't have said nothing because he wasn't about that life regardless. He was not his father. He was not abusive. He was a decent person of how he should be acting until he let all these other men get into his ear of how things should be in his household and how he should get respect in his household. I would have kicked her out that car. Girl, where is you going? No, you chose this life. You ain't choose the sisterhood. You don't get to ride off of our back
Right.
and punch me and get all this and then leave with girl,
Get out the
be
car,
fucking for real. Like, be
please.
fucking for real.
Squeak was doing a lot. I personally, if nothing else, I was just hopeful that maybe if she went with Suge and Celie, maybe there would be some kind of retribution there through Suge Avery, the power of Suge. I don't know. But Miss Girl, yeah, she was doing a freaking lot. Mary Agnes or whatever. Um, okay, so we're at about 43 minutes-ish. This is the thing. There are layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon. We could have like 5 episodes on this movie. Should we get into specific lowlights? Do y'all want to talk about certain characters? Oh, you know who we haven't talked about? Nettie. Okay,
Oh,
and listen, listen. Because the way that Nettie and Celia's relationship was detailed at the beginning, it warmed my heart to my core. Me and you shall never heart because us have one heart. Us have one heart. I cried. And I remember when I was super young, I was like 13, I had or 14, something like that. I had a friend, and we were childhood best friends in California. Then I moved to Virginia. I came back to California to visit. We saw each other, and when it was time for us to part, we were like hugging and literally had to be like pulled away from each other. And I remember people joking around talking about y'all acting like Nettie and Celie. And I'm like, who is Nettie? Who is Celie? And now I get it. And it just brought a tear to my eye. Um, yeah. I thought that was sweet. Nettie at the end, y'all, the tears were real. They were real. Yes.
So I don't know if this is necessarily a low light for me,
Yes.
but why did they age Celie? Like they had a whole
Okay.
nother character, but then they did not
Okay.
for Nettie. That to me, I was like, what? Why?
Okay.
That's a good question.
So
Is
I agree.
Are they
That
meant-
was gonna be because I can be a mature person and realize the majority of my lowlights are not specific to the movie, but this one was.
Mhm.
It bothers me. It bothered me that they had a different person. Okay, so I get why they had the same. I get why they had the same person play Nettie, right? Because they reference her a lot. I honestly, I don't think it would have done anything negative to the storyline if they did an adult version of Nettie, like a different person, because every time you saw her, it was the child version. I give the props, not the props team, the special effects team props of the aging. I'll give the props team a prop too. That's, that's my background. I love that they paid attention to that historical detail you was talking about, Danielle. What I have an issue with is why have another person play, why not have Whoopi Goldberg play Celie all the way through? And the reason why I say that is
Wait.
because
Did they-
Celie, no, she was not young Celie. Whoopi Goldberg
No.
was not young
Oh.
Celie.
Okay. I see what you mean. Yes.
I'm looking at the cast, right? And let's see, let's do some quick maths, okay? The girl who plays Celie now, the young Celie, is 53, right? I don't know what that means. But Whoopi Goldberg is 68. That's a pretty big age difference.
Mhm.
I don't know why they didn't just have Whoopi play Celie the whole time, especially for the sex scene. I did not like seeing grown ass
Yeah.
Danny Glover over young Celie. I did not like it at all.
No.
At all. I did not like it. I did not like it. It was done in the most PG way that it could have been done. Didn't like it. Gross.
No.
Grossy gross. Don't like it. And I always wonder how actors who play such roles feel filming stuff like that. I'm sure they made it a very safe environment for both of them, especially the woman. But I just feel like, why not just have Oprah Winfrey? I mean, Oprah Winfrey looked really young. She didn't even look 30 in that movie. Like, she looked like the age that she was supposed to be, which was like 16, 17. So why not just have her do that? Unless there's some type of scheduling, non-production stuff that happened. I was like, that's weird. I don't like that, because it could have just been, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like that choice specifically. They could have just had Whoopi Goldberg play Celie all the way through, because they aged her just like they aged Nettie. So I don't know. That was a choice. I don't know what type of choice it was, but that was a choice.
I don't know. Because I'm like, it's supposed to be, what'd you say, 40 years of difference? I'm like, yeah, like you said, the special effects team, they did good, but I'm like, it's not, what's the point? Like, were y'all just not able to find an actress that looks similar to the young version? Or like what was the reasoning? Are we trying to save on the budget?
I don't know.
Okay. I
It
just
could
did
be
some
budget.
math. I just
Okay.
did some math.
Oh no, is it
Okay.
upsetting? Yeah.
It's upsetting.
Okay, damn.
It's
Oh.
upsetting.
I'm ready.
Because
At this
Whoopi
point,
Goldberg. Okay, I'm just going, oh, what is this? That didn't supposed to pop up. I can't even see y'all no more. See? I'm doing all that. So I just did some maths, right? Movie came out in 1985. The girl that played young young Celie was born in 1971. And if you subtract
Oh, shit.
1985 minus 1971, it gives you a smooth 14. And
But she
that's when
really
the movie
was
dropped.
14 in real life.
That's when the movie dropped, not when they filmed it. The movie dropped in 1985. I don't know when the movie was actually filmed, probably a year to a year and a half before then. Whoopi Goldberg was born in 1955. So she was definitely in her 30s, if not 30 exactly. So why have a 14-year-old be under Danny Glover?
You know, it's giving
He was born in 1946. Ooh, let's do that math.
No, we
Well,
don't have to.
I don't think we.
Okay, so
1985, 1946.
okay, that's
He was
wild.
39.
Though
He was 39, filming a sex scene with a 14-year-old.
ew. Celie in the movie, young Celie was actually supposed to be 14. So they casted a real 14-year-old, which is like, okay, you know. But like,
But then they casted Whoopi, and Whoopi was only supposed to be like what, 5 years older than her or something? Like the age progression, she wasn't
well,
like
I
30
think
all of like the
right,
children were still children.
that's true. I mean, a majority of the movie she was like supposed to be like 27 to like 32 or something like that. So like, sure. No, now I'm upset. I just this same thing happened in Eve's
Yep.
Bayou. That's another one. Not many Eve's Bayou.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't. That's okay.
Wait, so how old was young Nettie at the time? Because she was supposed to be like 12 or something in the movie. I mean, she
Right.
didn't
Okay,
have
let's
like
see. She was born in 1966, so she was about 2 years. Oh wait, no, that
So
math was wrong. Let me
she was
bring the
19.
calculator. 1985 minus 1966. She was 19.
You saw
oh
how I did
So
that
she
math?
was in a
wait,
perfect age
come on, Danielle.
range.
Wait, but
Right. She was
that's
in a perfect age
crazy.
range.
If young Nettie was 19 and looked extremely young, young Celie was 14, maybe the
Wait, was Nettie supposed to be older than Celie?
Nettie was younger than Celie.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So
So,
why would they not just cast like another 19-year-old that looks 14 for just for the sexy, or maybe because it was 1985. No one was thinking about it like this, but they should have been. But I don't know. I think in
Honestly,
the 80s people still know what's right.
right.
So
honestly, and this is where this is where I'm just like, there was a lot of hands on this. This had to get approved by a lot of people. This had to be done with a lot of things. And the fact that it was such a like visual scene, so visual,
Mhm.
the cinematography was great, the props was great, the set dressing was great, but because it was so detailed, I okay, we can just go to the end. We can just
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's about that time to start wrapping up. Yet I feel like there's still so much.
So
There's
much.
so much. I didn't even get into my notes for real. Like
Okay, because we didn't even talk about Miss
Miss Millie,
Millie.
my exact note said
we
Miss
didn't even
Millie,
talk
I
about
hate
the
you.
fact that Celie's children were her brother and sister,
Oh,
and
so
then
But
she
she
they
went to her
thought.
weren't.
father's funeral.
Like, we didn't
What?
even talk about that. The man,
Yeah,
no, he wasn't
yeah.
actually.
No, that was the whole point. Like that her
Okay.
dad wasn't her actual dad.
But she
It wasn't
thought
her
her
actual
entire
dad.
life, which is
However, the man who raised her,
Right.
okay, the man who raised her is the one who RAPED her
impregnated
and
her.
had children by her and then made her sell the children. And then it was another like fucking 14-year-old sitting there with a newborn baby. And she said, "How did he die?" She said, "On top of me." I said, "I will kill everyone here."
Everybody, and he tried to do the same thing with
I
me, but she ran away.
the unprotecting the Black women are so unprotected, even by our own. Like
It's
it
hard
is
helping
so
children. Oh,
upsetting.
there's another thing I want to bring up real quick because this is important. And I just feel like the three of us, we can just we can get into it. So when The Color Purple came out in 1985 and then also 2023 came out, there was a large controversy. And I even saw the NAACP speak out about it, about how The Color Purple vilifies Black men and how it's not like a good depiction of the Black man and how we need to be doing better as a community and all this. um I
I feel like
I have a lot of personal thoughts on that.
Oh, I have a lot of
I even
thoughts.
had a conversation last night with my grandmother and my cousin about it. Um, can we just like get into that just like a little bit, just because I feel like it's important and we might as well just have it on our platform.
I just feel like if you are resonating with black men characters, then that is on you. Then you are a villain. Okay? Because this isn't villainizing black men. This is showing how men were in the past, how men can currently be in the past. And like I said, if you feel a strong, like, this is how, first of all, you're saying that this is how all black men are. We're not saying that. That's not what the movie is supposed to be about. If you are raising up all this energy saying that black men aren't like this and da, 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 we're not saying all black men are. However, there is some that are, and it needs to be spoken about. This was supposed to be in the point of view of Celie, and this is, in my opinion, more so about the non like protection of black women, not necessarily about how black men are the villain. Like that's not, if that's what you took from it, then you really were not paying attention. Like,
At
and I'm
all.
so sorry, like, because it wasn't even just black men in this movie, it was talking about the white people as well. So it's like it's supposed to be about the sisterhood and how the women in this film went through so much trauma, but they still like rose above it in the end, and like they made through their obstacles. But if that's what you choose to look at, that's on you. Like I'm not, whatever. If you want to be a villain, be a villain. That's my thought.
I have a couple of thoughts. No surprise here. Alexa played RuPaul's Blame It on the Edit. I feel as if, much like reality TV, they can only edit what you give them. Life imitates art. They can only exaggerate so much. If the shoe fits, wear it. I feel as if, being that we went through slavery together does not absolve you from responsibility of trauma you cause.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you go through trauma, just because the white man was mean to you, does not give you the rights or excuse or absolve you of the consequences of your actions of perpetuating that on Black women. I feel as if this may be because it was written by a Black woman. I feel that there is this, so we love Black men. Absolutely. Black men are great. I
We did a whole
feel as
episode on it.
if
Okay.
did a whole episode. Okay.
Go
And
watch
some
it.
of them have betrayed us since that
We
episode.
don't,
So true.
But we still
once
love Black
again,
men.
like,
Okay.
don't even.
But I feel as if there is this unrealistic expectation that Black women are to stand by Black men at all costs, even if it's the detriment to ourselves, and that we should excuse all behavior they have because of trauma and them not knowing how to deal with it. But that same respect is not given to us. So I just find it very interesting that Black men, it almost is like the whole thing of like, of what's happening in Florida and Texas, of white people wanting to get rid of books about slavery and stuff like that. Like they don't want to focus on that. That was the past. We don't do that anymore, even though it's very clear that we do that now, and that a lot of our laws are based off of that. I feel like, again, sometimes, now if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it, okay? But hit dogs holler every time. Black men tend to do the same to Black women. We tend to love to say to Black women, oh, it's not all of us. That's just one person. You can't judge all of the people by that. But we get called hoes for liking Meg Thee Stallion. So what's the truth?
Can we
Let's talk about it.
hoes for liking Meg Thee Stallion? Hoes for liking The Weeknd by SZA? Hoes for liking pop? Can we?
Why are Black women this group that can be generalized and it's okay? But anytime it happens to other people, it's generalization. How about it's just Black women speaking our truth? It's like, we tell you, I could give you a number. This was even things that has happened on Facebook, and the reason why I had to create a new account and delete so many people, where people would be like, oh, if you dress like this, you deserve it, or da catcalling. And there have been literal Black men that has tried to argue me down about how they get catcalled on the street and can't think of one example, but I can list 50 and type it and send it to you. This is not a game of who can do what more. This is a game of reality. If you don't like how you're being treated, if you don't like how you're being represented, change it, because you get to be generalized just like y'all generalize us. If you don't like the way it's being looked at, participate in platforms like Black Love to show the difference, participate in those platforms of showing Black men in their communities doing stuff, then do that. But the fact that we still got shows like Divorce Court showing, Divorce Court, Paternity Court, and 80% of the cast is Black people, and 9 times out of 10, it's the Black man that did something wrong and is coming to save his relationship. Talk to yourselves. This is not a conversation that we have to have with you. Y'all need to have this conversation with yourselves. Black men, get together, talk about how you're being presented, talk about the reality, and compare. This is not our job to fix that for you.
And honestly, I feel like it's kind of disappointing to hear that the NAACP was bringing it up, because it's like, y'all ain't got other things to focus on, to work on. Like, let's talk about how Black women, let's talk about how Black women were treated during the Civil Rights Movement. Let's talk about that. Like,
let's talk about how Black women get treated during Black Lives Matter. When we created it, but Black women would still get shot, killed, and raped, disappearing. But again, there's this, we are supposed to be on your side no matter what because we're Black, but we don't get that same respect, because that's what I was saying earlier to Bobby's point. They always like to forget that the Black and other parts of his statement apply to you too. But because you're a man, you don't think it matters. You keep forgetting that even if you're in a space full of people who don't look like you, you are still a Black man. It don't matter how high you get up in the chain of command, you are still a Black man. They still gonna treat you like a Black man. So you trying to ostracize yourself from Black women, y'all love, it's just like, even, I mean, that can apply to anything. That can apply to men hating sex workers and porn industry being one of the biggest industries in the world. They contradict themselves all the time. But what you're not going to do is put us in charge of the conversation about you. You run that conversation. That's not our job as Black women, to come to your safety when Meg Thee Stallion literally lied to the hospital and to the police because she didn't want a Black man to get shot during Black civil rights movement. And everyone, or the Black Lives Movement, and all the Black men I've talked to would be like, well, I wouldn't have lied. I would never do that. Well, I would never. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is the point I am making. Y'all would never have the stuff you expect out of us to do out of solidarity. So the NAACP, I'm sure they're great. Love them. Can't wait to, get awards and everything. But at the end of the day, people are the people that they are. And this is where we talk about that generational stuff, right? Because we know a lot of Black men that don't act like that because they were raised differently.
Yes.
But we got Black men over here talking about, oh, this vilifies Black men. Okay, well, why don't you change your own narrative then?
Change narrative. And even if, hypothetically, if all the Black men today are, children of God, there's no fault here, everyone has done a 180, even if now, today, this still happened,
it still happened.
we should still talk about it because our feelings are still hurt.
We still experience it. There's little girls now who are still experiencing this. I think people forget that, like, just because, like, I'll give an example and then I'll be done. How, like, we went to Kent State and our friend groups are very liberal. You can't forget there's still people out here that don't think like you.
Yes.
When I come back to Chicago, I'm not coming back to Chicago with the expectation that it's going to be like it was when I was in Kent. Like, Kent, Ohio is a different world, different state, different population, Chicago, Southside Chicago, always going to be Southside Chicago. I can't be like, well, why is you doing, why? Because this is what people grew up in. This is what they know. I do think to a certain extent, though, you have to realize, if you're able enough to realize that this is a reaction or generational or a result of the bigger form of slavery, you have to be able to realize that you can also get therapy. You yourself can also decide to change and be a different person. It's not up to us as Black women to correct what Black men has put themselves out there to look like this whole time. Example, Belly. They know I don't want to watch it. I don't care for the movie. They love the movie. The cinematography is great. But also, how did y'all portray yourselves in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be mad when you are part of the problem. Like all of these movies that we watch, a lot of them were directed by Black people, Black men specifically. If you gonna portray yourself like that for the entertainment of other people, then they gonna look at you like that. And you can't then be like, oh, well, you can't do that. No, because you do that to us in real life. What you want me to do? Like I said, Meg Thee Stallion literally lied to save a Black man, and all I saw on social media was Black men saying, well, she shouldn't have did that.
Like, what do you want from
So
her?
she should just let the police kill him. Because then if she did that, y'all would have been mad about it. So
Exactly.
which one is it?
If they even agree with the fact that she got shot or not. Because I guess they believe that
exactly. Pick a struggle. I mean, we still have people arguing for R. Kelly. Like, pick a struggle. What do you really want? Let's get down to the biz. Okay.
At the end of the day,
I do.
Yes, the day gotta end.
I don't necessarily agree with this whole obviously we have writers now, the writer strike is over. We're in a big realm of IP, which is intellectual property for those that don't know. So probably for the next 3 years, including the years already passed, all the stuff we're going to get is remakes. And if you think about what's already been created, you can just guess what's going to be remade. The Color Purple being remade is not a surprise because they're remaking movies that have been turned into plays that are now movies. They've been doing that for like a long time. So this should not have been a surprise to anybody. If from what I've heard, like I said, I've not seen the new one. It's a very much toned down version of the original because it's based on the play. So it's just like, do you want the book? Would you rather the book? Because then we get mad about the book. So which one is it?
Right.
You can just not watch it.
So true. Like, you could have just avoided this whole topic. If you didn't want to see it, like, just don't.
Y'all be stressing yourselves
but
out.
If you're going to complain,
you
must care.
I don't understand. Like, what is it? Is it like the masochism? Are you just a masochist? Like, do you just like hurting yourself?
They don't know
anything. Hurt other people?
They don't know anything different.
Maybe yes, but
well, it's the I can be oppressed, but also be an oppressor. It's the same idea.
Yeah,
and we don't say this. We are not anti-man. Please,
no,
please.
Oh no,
I hate that. Like anytime you criticize something, apparently, I love Chicago. I criticize Chicago all day long, but I still love Chicago. You ain't finna talk about my city crazy. But I'm still going to criticize it because I love it and I want it to be better. Please do not walk away from this thinking that, first of all, think about the movie we're reviewing, A, in the sisterhood conversation. And B, please do not walk away from this thinking that we hate Black men. All of us are Black people. All of us have Black fathers, like that is not the case. We just want better and we want to be treated the way that you want us to treat you. And that's what this movie shows, is that the Black man in this movie, Mr., was power hungry, that he had a Black woman that was considered conventionally unattractive. Because I'm sure if he was with a woman who was the same skin tone of his father, ain't no way he would have been able to act that way towards her. So let's just be realistic. It happened. It's history. We can't help it, but you can change it now.
Exactly. And on top of this, don't be saying the anti-man, anti-Black man allegations on us. We do like Black men. We love Black men. But part of the reason of calling all of this out is so y'all can do the work within yourselves. Like, talk to the other Black men that you're over here witnessing doing all these harmful things to whoever, not even just women, to other Black men. You got to be on your own shit. Call out your own community, because obviously y'all don't listen to us.
Obviously.
Y'all listen to each other, maybe. So,
if anything, a lot of Black people, a lot of Black women copy what Black men do. Like, they copy the masculinity of it, if anything. So, like, if you want there to be a change, and we're not saying you as one individual have to change it, but like, you have to understand the power that you have and what you've been doing with it. You can't be mad at us with the way that the state of the world is when men were in the world for hundreds of thousands of years. You can't be mad at women because of that.
And still do. And look what's happening. Just look
and
around.
still do.
Around. We are suffering. Okay,
Wars are happening.
Okay.
People are
literally
getting bombed.
today. Don't even.
We can.
Okay. See, now I'm stressed. See,
We ain't do that. We weren't even considered not property until like 50 years ago.
like,
Like,
let's talk about it. Couldn't even open a bank account.
couldn't even open a bank account. In some states, you're still considered your husband. You're still considered your husband. In certain states, you are still considered your husband. When it comes to paperwork, when it comes to putting anything down, y'all are still a unit and his name is still on it. So how you gonna get mad at? We ain't do nothing. We ain't do nothing but follow y'all rules and now you mad. I don't understand.
Make it make sense.
And that's not on that.
Make it make sense.
So, yeah, we are over time.
Of course.
So,
That did happen.
okay, so
That did happen.
it did happen. But you know what? I regret nothing. Honestly, I regret nothing. It had to be said.
Mhm.
So, do y'all want to give any like final thoughts, final wrap-ups? Like if you didn't get to say certain things off of your notes, so you want to just like quickly, rapid fire?
Well, the only thing that I would say, there is also like a very narcissistic theme with a lot of the characters in this movie. Where it be what is her name? Melly,
Oh.
Mr. Even Suge. Like there's just a lot of narcissistic behavior where, I'm first and I'll deal with my consequences later, even if they don't. And I think that a lot of them had to learn that. Not Miss Melly, because what I don't know what her problem. I don't even want to get into her.
You don't even have to.
But I don't have the
That's the
time.
mayor's wife, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, the white woman.
Oh, she was doing what she knew how to do.
exactly. Which, but
that
I think a lot of them had to learn from their past behaviors and whether their consequence was good or bad. Like they had their ending the way it was. Yeah, it was a heavy movie, but I did enjoy the themes that were brought up.
amen, sister.
Sorry.
Oh, do you want to give your rating too? Oh,
Yeah, let me get my rating.
Yeah.
I I will give this a 4.5 out of 5. I can't give it a 5 because that's like I love this movie. Love is not the word I would give it. I think it was a very well done movie. Like I said, the themes were great. Not great, but like the themes were portrayed well. The acting, they all ate down. Honestly, it kind of made me hate Danny Glover, but it is what it is. But a 4.5, I think that's what I can give it.
all right.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5, and here's why. Here's why. My personal thing is that it doesn't have to be a movie that I want to rewatch at all, nor does it have to be a movie that I love. I think the movie, outside of some production choices, and I really had to think about this because you know how much I hate production choices that have to go through a lot of people, and then you still have a 14-year-old on screen with a 39-year-old. I think the movie itself, it was also damn near 3 hours, so there was a lot to judge. The movie, ate down. Discourse, currently relevant. Even down to the changes of the times, the character development with people. There was only so much they could put in it, but they did what they could. And I think it's a perfect movie. I don't think it's a movie that should be watched at family gatherings for fun.
Oh,
I don't know how you would explain to a child seeing sexual assault and many types of adultery. I don't think children should watch this movie. But there are a lot of great movies that I would never rewatch, and this is one of them.
Mhm.
A great example, I'm not even gonna go into the movie. Go watch the movie Detroit. I think Detroit was a great movie. I think it's a 5 out of 5 movie. I never watch it again in my life. I would fight someone before I had to watch it again in my life. I think this is a perfect movie with perfect people cast in it. And I think that it doesn't shy away from This doesn't feel like a movie that was made for entertainment. And that is what gives it the most respect for me. Because a lot of things that we see coming out nowadays that have such heavy topics are made in a way that is still digestible. This movie made me want to throw up. It was not digestible at all, but it was a hard truth that you have to look at in your face. There was nothing funny about it, or they had funny moments, but it was true to what it was. It was grimy. It was, all of those words, but it was a great movie. The original, I'm gonna have to give a 5 out of 5. It was also so long, but I was telling my mom, I was like, well, y'all didn't really have anything else to do but sit in the movie theater for 3 hours. I mean, Scarface was a 2-part movie.
Oh yeah.
Literally, they had to split it up in the movie theater. So the fact that I'm more than sure people's attention span was in this movie the entire 3 hours to captivate for something for that long with this type of topic. I mean, I have to give respect where respect is due. I just will not be watching this movie again. It's a 5 out of 5.
Yep. I would have to agree. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. For so many reasons. I mean, like we've said a lot. We could say more. It's just damn good. I feel like they did not shy away from the necessary evils that have to be told. There's just certain things that humans are capable of that consistently blows my mind. The fact that we are able to be so evil and so cruel. People like to forget that these things happen because it's so hard to think about. But that's why people have to remind us that don't ever forget. Don't get too comfortable in your current reality to turn a blind eye to other people's choices, other people's realities. The fact that this takes place in the early 1900s, Alice Walker wrote it in 1982, says a lot. And the fact that we're able to relate in 2024 says even more. So for that, 5 out of 5. I did have some notes that I didn't mention. The gospel song at the end in true Black American fashion, like literally the Black
in the father-daughter situation.
girl.
That's a whole another conversation we didn't even get into. Like
that scene.
We didn't even get into it.
I was starting to cry.
I cried. I sure did. I definitely cried. And honestly, quickly, that's one thing that I actually do like about this movie more than I like about the books. The book is that the music, the sound design, the facial expressions, particularly in that scene, and describing Nettie and Celie's childhood relationship. It was more emotional for me seeing it in the movie than it was reading it in the book because you're able to see it, hear it. Yeah. So the gospel scene, fantastic. Also quickly, when she first read her letter, the first letter that she read from Nettie when Suge, got it for her, was dated April 18th. I watched this movie on April 18th. So I was like, oh shit. Also, I currently in Memphis, and they went to Memphis, and I was just like, what is the synergy that's happening right now? I just don't know. Yeah. Also, Miss Millie, you suck forever. And
she is what we would call a Karen now.
Yeah,
she is what you would call a Karen.
I'm sorry, real quick, because she said, she was like, oh, I'm gonna take you go see your children. And she's like, I haven't seen them in 18 years. And Miss Millie goes, that's a shame. I'm like,
8 years.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8 years. What did I say, 18?
Yeah.
8.
All right.
And she said, that's a shame. I'm like, girl, you the reason. Like,
girl,
I physically, oh my God, it was making my blood boil. I was like, that's
again, 5 out of 5 movie. Do not want to watch again.
Like, I wanted to spit. But honestly, this is what movies are supposed to make you feel. I mean, obviously, like, you're supposed to have fun, supposed to be entertaining, yeah, sure. But on the other side of that, like, movies are supposed to create like visceral reactions out of you. You're supposed to feel, you're supposed to cry, scream, whatever. Actually, maybe not even movie. stories in general are, whenever you get emotions like this, that's how you know it's real and it moves you. And that's why, they just did their big one, the whole cast. Oh, quickly, also, it's all there's so 5 out of 5 because of the editor. When Celie was finally reading Nettie's letters, the cross-cutting, I had chills. I
Good
literally just
cross-cutting.
right now. Man, that
Good
cross-cutting was
cross-cutting.
crazy. It was crazy. When
You know what was crazy?
the razor.
Yes.
Oh,
That cross-cutting, when she was finna kill that man, crazy.
Listen.
Crazy. I
man.
said that is timing to its finest. We don't get movies like that no more.
Props to the editor, props to the sound designer for some of that, because there was one, he was sitting in the house reading the letters and the rain was hitting in the pots and pans and it the drums.
Oh, they was working on this movie. They was working.
Oh, I mean, again, but not the production, that girl. That is that, like, I can't look. I hates a lot of the stuff I've seen. But God damn it, this was a good ass movie. Like, this was a good ass movie. I did have to take a little bit of a break because that is 3 hours long. Okay. And I had just came from binging Fallout. So that was like 8 hours on 3 hours. And I was like, look, somebody need a break.
Yeah.
But great movie, had great people in it, even slid little Lawrence Fishburne, little young Larry Fishburne. I was like, Larry, who is Larry? Little young, look, school days already told me everything I needed to know. Okay.
Go listen to that.
Leave that in there. But yes, they ate down on this movie. I just wouldn't rewatch it. Just like Fruitvale Station. I wouldn't rewatch Fruitvale Station. 5 out of 5.
Man.
It did what it needed to do. I got it, and I won't watch it. And no, I am not showing my kids The Color Purple until they are of age to understand everything they're looking at. Because why the fuck do you have 7-year-olds watching people get beat and sexually assaulted?
Like, I'll probably show
especially.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially, I'm not even gonna get into this. This is a deeper conversation. As much as sexual abuse happens in the Black family, and as much as sexual abuse happens in Black families, the fact that y'all let children watch this while you see a child age girl getting sexually assaulted is crazy to me.
Crazy.
Insane. And I'm sure they just didn't think about it that way. It was 1985. It was a different world. But there are people I know that watched this movie in the 2000s. Still insane. Like, this is not a PG-13 movie. This is rated R. Okay, just like all the other movies that we ever see should be rated R. I'm sure the new version is actually PG-13, but this version is rated R.
Yeah,
hard R.
Definitely. I would probably show this movie to maybe a 16 or 17-year-old, at best. 15
someone
and a half,
who can understand.
maybe. But damn, 10-year-olds, no. Okay, well, I guess we did our big one. So y'all are welcome. It's been like an hour and a half.
Sorry about that.
Probably.
Listen, it's season 3 premiere.
It's been an hour and 23 minutes.
So apologies.
Sorry
about that.
So sorry, but also not really. Because y'all
but also the movie was 3 hours long. The movie was 3 hours long. Like,
what you want us to do? Sorry.
Yeah. So okay.
We watched it. So
I guess that's it. So this has been another episode of The Box Office. Do y'all have any final? No. Okay.
Don't even open it up.
Okay. So I don't have another episode of The Box Office here on Hot Combs and Popcorn. Thank you all for listening. Again, I've been Bobby.
I'm Danielle.
And my name's Brianna.
And if you haven't already done so, please follow and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and Twitter. Yes. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
That last one was a little iffy.
I just threw that one in there. I got carried away.
Yeah.
So throw us a like, share this episode, leave in the comments below. Have you seen The Color Purple? Honestly, please tell us, because I want to know. Let's talk about it further. Did you get to see it when it first came out? What are your thoughts on it? Let us know what movies and television show you would like to see us review next. And yeah, so as you guys know, the streetlights are on and they are flickering. So we've got to go. We'll see you next time, same place. Bye, everyone.
Bye.